This hearing of the Subcommittee on Housing, Transportation, and Community Development will come to order. And our first order of business, I would ask all of us to take a moment of silence to remember the soldiers who were tragically killed and wounded at Fort Hood. Thank you. Our hearts go out to them and to their families today as they and many from across the country attend the memorial service in Texas. Let me say we decided to stay and move forward with this hearing to honor all those veterans to whom we owe so much and who deserve the full attention of a grateful nation. And having said that, let me welcome our distinguished panelists this morning. I'd also especially like to recognize two veterans who will be on our second panel this morning, Ms. Leela Guy, a veteran of Operation Iraqi Freedom from Philadelphia, I know has a compelling story to tell, and Mr. William Wise from Winslow, New Jersey, who served in Vietnam and was himself homeless for a time after his return. We look forward to hearing their firsthand testimony on the pressures on returning veterans and the thin line that exists between survival and despair. To me, the crisis we face is no less than a national disgrace, represented by the haunting image of 131,000 veterans on the streets of America on any given night. 131,000 men and women who served this nation in uniform. American heroes huddled over a heating grate in the shadow of the Washington Monument, or curled up on a bench by the war memorials on the Mall in Washington, or trying to find shelter in cities across America. What is more troubling than the image is the statistics. The VA estimates more than 260,000 veterans will be homeless at some point during the course of a given year, and a staggering 25% of all homeless in this country, 1 in 4, are veterans. With increasing numbers of veterans coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan last year, the number of veteran families that found themselves homeless increased 24% because of difficult economic times. We also know that nearly 600,000 veterans who do have housing are paying more than 50% of their monthly income in rent, and may well be at risk of becoming homeless in the next year. The federal government, in my view, is not doing nearly enough when so many new veterans are falling through the cracks. These new veterans are facing a range of issues that veterans of other wars have not faced. They have difficulty reintegrating, like many Americans. They can't find a job. They can't find decent, affordable housing, and the current system of dealing with their needs is being overwhelmed. I think we can say with certainty that veterans' homelessness is a national disgrace, and we need to address it. Now, last week, Secretary Shinseki began to do just that. He outlined a 5-year plan, which I hope we will discuss today. Secretary Shinseki addressed a wide range of issues, everything from supportive services for low-income veterans to the post-9/11 GI Bill. Also last week, the VA and DOD co-sponsored a summit to coordinate the need to aggressively diagnose and treat the unseen but devastating wounds of war that all too often lead to homelessness. These are positive steps, but I'm looking forward to learning from our panelists what more steps we can take and what our priorities should be. I'm pleased to say that Congress has been proactive on veterans' homelessness. Senator Schumer and Senator Jack Reed have both worked tirelessly on this issue. Senator Schumer's Home for Heroes Act and Senator Reed's Zero Tolerance for Veterans Homeless Act focus a laser-sharp light on veterans' homelessness and all the accompanying issues that have forced a growing number of veterans to live on the street. So let me conclude by saying what I said at the outset. I'm haunted by the image of homeless veterans sleeping in our cities every night, men and women who wore the uniform and bravely stood a post in some far-off land in the middle of the night. And I am haunted to think that they now come home, some here to Washington, only to spend their nights in the shadow of the very monuments to freedom, justice, and equality for which they fought, looking for help and a little hope, perhaps lost, but certainly not forgotten by a grateful nation. So I want to thank our witnesses for joining us today. We look forward to a productive hearing that we will build upon to seek legislative results. And with that, let me recognize Senator Akaka, who's done so much work in this regard as the chairman of the Veterans Affairs Committee. We appreciate his leadership, and of course, as a member of this committee, combines two very powerful opportunities to help our homeless veterans. Senator Akaka.